Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and today in Death Card Tactics I'm making a Death Card list review, a 2000 points list with Mortarion and his Anvil. With no further ado, let's take a look. So today, the 14th of May, yesterday I played my second 2000 point game of 2021 in real life, with all the restrictions of course now, versus Adeptus Custodes, and this is the preparation before the game. I can't reveal the result until the battle report is up. The video, it's a Danish video, but I will make also post analysis. But boy, those Custodes definitely are a tough bunch with so many involves and very high toughness. So, in this video, I will be looking at the death card list review, and I have reviewed a couple of lists already, various builds, various different varieties of death card, and I just realized I haven't reviewed or proposed the list with Mortarion or Primarch. So in this video, I will be looking at this 2000 point list with Mortarion and utilizing Mortarion's Anvil, which is a very strong play company. So we'll be looking at list overview, some secondaries and deployment ideas, the strategy, and some metrics of the army. Before I start, a big thanks and shout out to all my patrons. Thank you guys for your continuous support and your suggestions. Yeah, I really appreciate your support. So let's take a look at the list. So looking at a Mortarion including 2000 points list, of course building up with a Supreme Command detachment to bring Mortarion and then a battalion. So if we start with the Supreme Command detachment, we have Mortarion for 490 points. He takes Miasma of Pestilence and Curse of the Leper psychic powers. Extra Warlord trait to consider here is Gloaming Bloat. Gloaming Bloat from Mortarion's Anvil is very good stopping opponent rerolls and firing Overwatch. So getting a 9-inch bubble of that across Mortarion can be really strong against some armies. Another alternative could be take Ferric Blight or some other Warlord trait and maybe give one of the battalion's HQ the Gloaming Bloat for 1 extra CP. Then you also have the possibility to use the Flash Outbreak to spread it even further, but Mortarion will be probably close to the front lines, 9-inch contagion already from the start, and the Gloaming Bloat is one of the really good contagions we have. Looking now at the battalion, so fitting for Mortarion, he brings his Anvil, Mortarion's Anvil battalion detachment, wearing the HQ. I have selected here a Demon Prince with Hellforged Sword, and giving him the relic from Mortarion's Anvil, the Warp Insect Hive relic, allowing him reroll all to hit and all to wound. So really strong build for the Demon Prince, and he takes Putrescent Vitality, a psychic power. For the HQ, the second HQ is the Malignant Plaguecaster, as in so many lists. He takes Gifts of Plagues to increase contagion range. He takes additional Miasma of Pestilence if and when Mortarion maybe leaves the field. There is still some Miasma of Pestilence to throw. In the troops, it's not very heavy, it's quite light on the troops. 2 units of 10 Poxwalkers and 1 unit of 5 Plague Marines, and I only had room for 1 flail before the points ended up to 2000. And then in the elite slot, it's the heavy elite slot here for the battalion. So a big blob, 10 Blightlord Terminators with 2 flails and 2 Blight Launchers, and then the rest is Axes and Combi Bolters. I've chosen here to give the Plague Skull of Glothila for 1 command point to the champion as a relic. So this is a 420 point, the biggest squad of Blightlord Terminators here. Then 2 squad of Deathshroud Terminators, and one of the squads, the champion gets the Reaper of the Glorious Entropy for 1 command point relic, and this is also a very strong build for the Deathshroud Terminator, 5 attacks and hitting on 2s. If he's close to the Demon Prince or Mortarion, he can reroll once. The wound rolls can reroll once, and 6 or 2 wound give mortal wound. So this is a very strong weapon for the Deathshroud Terminator champion. And then The two best Virion, in my opinion, Foul Blightspawn with Revolting Stench Bats for 1 command point relic, the Viscous Pathogen, Viscous Death Pathogen for 10 points more so he can reroll the number of attacks, and then the Talisman 70 points. Talisman, I didn't bother here with a Tollkeeper relic, there is not so much shooting in this list. The Talisman for 70 points, bringing command points, and he can select one core unit to get +1 to hit rolls. And in the heavy support, one of my personal favorite units, the Plagueware Scroller with Entropy and Slugger for 175, closing off the 1,510 points that are following Mortarion into battle. So the unit selections and ideas behind this list, of course, Mortarion being the centerpiece of this army, and he brings Mortarion's Anvil battalion with a big Terminator showing to support him. The 9-inch bubble of Gloaming Blood can be very strong versus many armies relying on rerolls, and Mortarion always, when you bring him, poses a question to the opponent: do you deal with Mortarion? Do you try to run away? In either case, if they really gang up on Mortarion, this should give time for the Mortarion's Anvil to do something, and if they go for the Mortarion's Anvil, there is a lot of staying power here, and Mortarion can deal a lot of damage and be a very potent threat. The Demon Prince with a Hellforged Sword is our second strongest character, and the one benefiting the most from the very good Mortarion's Anvil relic, the Warp Insect Hive, giving him full rerolls. And this is especially important. He has one of the best weapons, the Hellforged Sword of our characters. And this sword is not plague weapon, so he cannot reroll the hit rolls normally, and he cannot reroll the wound rolls. So with Warp Insect Hive, he benefits from both. And my AP -3 damage through weapon, it's always really good if you can reroll, so you can hit a lot. No wings here, just the model I have has wings, but there's no wings included, keeping him cheap, and probably he will be foot slogging along with the Blightlord Terminators. The Plaguecaster rounds off the HQ, a cheap one, adds psychic powers and good abilities for 95 points. 2 small units of Poxwalkers and 1 small unit of Plague Marines to mainly hold objectives as troops. The Poxwalkers probably in the backfield. The Plague Marines can go forward a bit, take maybe with objective secure, they can maybe capture some objective. And then the big unit of Blightlord Terminators and the 2 units of Deathshroud Terminators, and both champions taking relics. The Talisman and the Foul Blightspawn, they will be fueling the command points of the army and negate opponent fight first aura. So the Foul Blightspawn could be following the Blightlord Terminators together with the Demon Prince, making sure that this big squad can fight first and deal a lot of damage before the opponents can strike. Plague Burst Sprawler staying in the backfield and providing fire support. The 3 most expensive units in this build for a potential while we stand we fight are Mortarion, the Blightlords, and the Plagueware Scroller. So basically the 3 most durable units you don't want. For example, the Demon Prince with wings, he would be more expensive than the Plagueware Scroller. You don't want a big unit of, for example, Plague Marines instead of a Plagueware Scroller being the one if you consider the while we stand we fight. And as I said, doubling up on my Asthma of Pestilence psychic power and Putrescent Vitality on the Demon Prince, I was thinking if he's escorting the Blightlords, he can give them +1 strength, +1 toughness, also to make them stronger and more durable. Looking at possible deployment and secondaries for this army list, probably everything starting on the table except the 2 units of Death Shroud that can be deep striking. Finding gaps, maybe helping Mortarion if he achieves a breakthrough, coming down to help where it's needed. Alternatively, everything on the table, or even the Death Shrouds. Another alternative could be Mortarion in strategic reserves. Maybe a lot of the opponents would not expect that, but there is the problem with the strategic reserves that a lot of experienced opponents will be able to block you off any meaningful place on the table. So maybe better to put Mortarion there, absorbing fire. Even if he's losing, then the others will have time to take positions. The secondaries, as we said, while we stand we fight, could be interesting. Mortarion, Blight Rovers, and Plague Scroller, not very easy to take out. Hopefully at least two units of those will survive at the end. 10 points for that. Grind them down could be interesting. Not many easy units to kill off here, and maybe hiding the Poxwalkers so they are not an easy prey here. Spread the sickness could also be plague Poxwalkers doing something on the backfield. Maybe the Plague Marines can contaminate something. Could be some possibilities. Of course, mission specific secondary could also be considered. The strategy and general ideas. The strength of this army comes from the threat of Mortarion in combination with the strong Terminator, Light Lords and Death Shrouds that can hopefully secure the midfield, escorted by the dangerous Demon Prince. So he's not at all. He's really strong in melee with a Warp Insect Hive. The Taliban fuels command points to the army, and the Foul Blight spawn protects the Blight Lords or Plague Marines to fight first. Death Shroud Terminators, Deep Strike, trying to get some charges, filling gaps if needed, etc. There is not super much speed in this army apart from Mortarion, and Mortarion here I think should be played aggressively, threatening the opponent, forcing them to either address Mortarion or do something else. In any case, that should be used by the other units in the army to occupy the midfield and maybe just stay there, playing the objectives, trying to win on points with this army. Some important stratagems to consider, of course. Remember the Relaptic Assault from Mortarion's Anvil, so that the units can make heroic intervention. That could be helpful on Death Shroud, even Plague Marines or the Blight Lord Terminators, and then Virulent Round on the Blight Lords, shooting with their bolters. Break their spirits if the Terminators kill enemy models to force morale checks, etc. And of course, Disgusting Force for the Plagueburst Scroller, Poxwalker screening out the Plagueburst Scroller from Drip Strikes, etc. So list metrics, damage output baseline. So I'm looking at the army-wide expected wounds output, damage output versus the General Yanis 31 targets I'm typically simulating. So we can see the different armies I've already been reviewing in my previous videos, and you can find links in the description if you're interested in some of the other army reviews. So here you can see Mortarion's Anvil list. Not super many wounds at long range. It's basically the Plagueburst Scroller and a little bit of Bolter and Blight Launcher fire. At mid-range, we have the Foul Blight spawn adding in, and the Mortarion's pistols and things like that. But the big strength here is in the melee. The melee is strong with the Death Shroud, the Demon Prince, and Mortarion, of course, can do a really lot of wounds and damage if he comes into melee. So it's one of the strongest of these highest melee damage output than other lists I've been looking at so far. So, and then looking at the durability, just looking at how many wounds are we putting on the table, we can see here that we have in Mortarion's Anvil, of course, Mortarion being toughness 8, having Disgusting Resilience, 4+ Invul, 5+ Feel No Pain is really a lot of difficult wounds to take out for the opponent. Then we have the Plagueburst Scroller, and then we have Demon Prince, and here we have the big number of Terminators, quite a lot of wounds to take out, 45 something wounds. Taking out on Terminators is not easy for a lot of opponent armies, following by the Plague Marines, the supportive characters, and the Poxwalkers at the end. So here you can see some of the different armies, how they vary the wounds, but there is a lot of high quality wounds on the table with this list. So coming to the conclusion, the summary and final thoughts. So reviewing the potential list of 2000 points with Mortarion, there is of course a lot of variation here. A lot of 1500 points can be built many different ways for Mortarion, but this could be quite interesting having Terminators and Mortarion on the table. So we and then we take in this example Mortarion's Anvil Plague Company as the battalion, so that the Demon Prince can benefit from the Warp Insect Hive Relic, and we have equipped the champions with relics for added damage and threats, and then the Talisman will bring us command points back during the game. So a Terminator heavy list for high staying power. And all in all, what do you think of this list? Let me know if you have some comments, some questions, some suggestions, some other suggestions for this list. If you like this video, please press like and subscribe to the channel, where I will be bringing you loads of Death Guard and Warhammer content. And if you want to support my efforts further, please visit my Patreon page and be part of the roadmap, the discussions for the next videos, and finding a bit of exclusive content. So with these words, General Yanis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.